Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com. How to make text from any font into a stencil. Now this tutorial is very straightforward and very easy to do. We're going to use the Silhouette Cameo, and we're going to use their software to create stencils from any style font. So first off, you just start on a new page. You pick the little letter A on the left-hand column, and you can start typing. Once you type what it is that you want to make a stencil out of, you can then highlight that text, and then you can change the font. You really want to pick something pretty bold. I think I'm going to scroll down and use the Impact, which is a very bold font. You can then size this and reposition it on the page wherever you like. Just by grabbing one of those corner bars, you'll enlarge it proportionally. And sometimes, especially for stencils, I grab one of the middle bars and I pull it down, and that kind of makes it taller. It's a disproportional enlargement. Just for ease of working, because as you zoom in, it kind of automatically goes to the top, I move the text to the top right-hand portion of the page. I'm then going to zoom in so that I can see each letter very distinctly. What you want to be able to do is see the islands inside any of the letters. And what I mean by the island is the space inside the D, the space inside the E, etc. In order to make a stencil, we've got to cut a line through each of those letters so that when you remove these letters from the stencil material, the inside or the island will stay in place. So number one, we're going to print this on a stencil material. It's a clear, fairly thick plastic with a self-adhesive sticky side with a backing. In order to create the line, you're going to choose the knife tool on the left-hand bar. And then you're basically just going to start at the top, and you're going to cut a line through each one of the letters that has an island. What I like to do is draw one line and then repeat the process. So you start like on this A. I'm going to start inside, I'm going to draw a line through, and then I'm going to move over just a little bit and draw a second line. And really all I'm doing there is increasing the thickness of that total cut just a little bit. Got one more to do on the O, so I'm going to start on the top of the O. Now if for some reason you start on a point that just doesn't look right, just bring your line outside the letter and you can start again. Third time works. So that's one cut line, and then I'm going to move over a little bit, make it a little bit thicker, two cut lines. And if you look close, each one of those letters that has an island in the middle of it now has a cut line through it, so that when we remove the letters from the stencil, so we're really keeping the background, those islands will hang on to the background. They won't be removed with the letter. The other thing I like to do after I size this to the actual size that I want, so I grab the entire text, shrink it to the size that I want. I usually draw a rectangle around it, and you can just use the little rectangle tool. This will also become a cut line. It just neatens up the finished product a little bit. Then you're going to check your settings. You want to make sure that you've got this set to the stencil paper. And then once you click on that, it will drop down and tell you what your knife should be set at. In this case, it's a 3, and also the speed. And then after we load this stencil film into our Silhouette Cameo, you want to make sure that knife is set at the right depth. So you take out the knife, you see if the red dot is lined up with the 3. In this case, it is. If it wasn't, you can use this little key. There's an arrow on it. You line up the arrow with the red dot, and then you can adjust the depth of that knife. So I'm going to put it back on 3, put the knife back into its holder, turn the knob clockwise to tighten it, and I'm going to put the key back in its holder. So now the Cameo is all set up with the Silhouette paper in place. I send that file to the Cameo. And this is going to take a few minutes to go back and forth and make all of those cuts. And you could stack. You could make a bunch of different stencils off of the same sheet. You can do portraits. You can reorientate the text and have very long text, on printing from a roll, or you could have short, smaller text. You're almost unlimited in what you can make on this little machine. So anyway, after the cutting is done, you just hit the unload. I just cut out the section that I was going to work on. I like to weed on a cutting mat. I tape the material down to that mat, and then I just use a little razor knife just to start to weed out each one of the letters. So it's kind of opposite from making a decal in vinyl. In this case, we're going to pick away each of the letters, and we're going to leave the background on that backing paper. That final weeding was the rectangle that I drew around, and it really doesn't take long to weed. So this is the final stencil. It's ready to apply. What's nice about this stencil material is you can apply it to almost any fairly smooth surface, and then roller on paint or spray paint. And then when you're all done, you can put it back on that backing paper and preserve it and use this stencil repeatedly. What I like to do is apply it, and then I use painter's tape around it to make sure that I don't end up painting any of the surface around it. But it's a very simple, easy way to convert any font into a stencil. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to projects. And if you like this video, I ask that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you.